to the show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats podcast. And it's me, it's Dante. It's your host. I'm always here. And this week on the podcast, I want to welcome a teammate from over at Crazy 88. And this is kind of one of those examples of you train with somebody, you're out there sweating and fighting and just, you're keeping each other safe, but you're still fighting. And then you tap hands. You're like, hey, man, see you next week. See you tomorrow. See you in a couple of days. And then it's just that. And then, you come back and do it again. And then you realize, wait a minute. I don't think I really know anything about this cat. So I want to welcome to the podcast one of my teammates over at 88, Mr. John Ramos. What's up, John? How you feeling, man? And welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, Dante? Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it very much.
No. I'm glad we're able to make the time work out. Last week when we were training, first off, when I didn't know that Elkridge was coming over.
Yeah,
I looked in the door and saw 50 folks in there. I was just like, oh no. I wasn't anticipating this. It was a great class, fun time, but yeah, after we got done training, you came over and, it was like, hey, man, it's been great, training with you. I'm going to be leaving. And in my mind, I was like, the fuck does that mean? Leaving? Like my brain, I guess, with fighting for your life of one of those rounds, which with you, my brain wasn't computing, but yeah, I guess you're being stationed somewhere else. So
yes,
that's wild. I didn't know you were in the military, dude. So I guess, for starters, how did you find jiu-jitsu? You ended up here in Maryland at 88. Like tell me what's going on. Tell me your story, John.
Oh yeah,
I want to know you.
Absolutely. So jiu-jitsu, I would say I discovered back in September of 2014 when I was in my final semesters at Florida International University. And by that time, I was just finishing up my bachelor's degree. So felt like I had a little more time on my hands, and martial arts has really been a part of my life from a very young age. First one I was ever exposed to was Taekwondo. And I've been on a long intermission, so I always wanted to get back to it, especially, just kind of always being a smaller guy. And, you walk around, you just kind of feel like, well, yeah, I'm not really going to get the same kind of respect. Like, it's like maybe somebody much bigger than me. Not to say that, there's not no badass short people, because there are. But I just kind of tell, like, I was very timid, and at the same time lacked the confidence, and I wanted to get back into something. And I saw a bunch of clubs that were optional to go, that were free to students, and one of them I saw on there was jiu-jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I was curious about it because, like, I had read about it, and, like, through the UFC you would hear them talk about it, like on commentations or two every now and then. Just read about somebody at random who trained in jiu-jitsu, and like one famous person I remember reading about profile was like the actor Ed O'Neill. So what happened was I was like, I'm gonna give this a try just to see what it's all about. And at first glance, like, just coming from a Taekwondo as the only exposure, like with striking, I was like, okay, wonder what this whole grappling and being on the mat's gonna be like. And just tried it out one day, never looked back. So after my time was up at Florida International University, I was no longer going to get the same benefits of being able to train for free there. So what happened was, I'm like, all right, I got to find a legit gym to train at. And the guy who was running the program at the time, he was a purple belt. I mean, gave me a little encouragement about like local schools in the area. So eventually I came across Carlos Gracie Miami, and ended up training there. I ended up, because right after college, I really didn't have too much of the opportunities I was able to gain access, like career wise. So was making it happen, training jiu-jitsu, working part-time, but felt like, I was all in, dedication, just like training as multiple times a week as I can, primarily in gi. And then too, I competed also under Carlos Gracie Miami. That was the first time I ever saw competition as a white belt. And trained up there up until 2019, because 2019 is when I joined the military, Coast Guard. And right after I got out of boot camp, my first assignment was over in New London, Connecticut. But by the time I went over there, it was almost around the midst before the pandemic and the lockdowns started. So that made it tricky. And I remember it was really hard to train at that time because the lockdowns, but also, and I'm sure it was a hard time for everybody, especially if, they were training jiu-jitsu or just doing anything at the time. It really was, because like jiu-jitsu, you definitely rely on, you need to be with, you need somebody to train with. It's like, I'm not going to progress here just by like being on a mandated lockdown.
Yeah.
So eventually I did come across MMA gym up there. And I mean, we can say it now, but, they were not kind of just finding little ways to navigate around the lockdown, but thankfully they did. And I was just training there, and I focused, that was how I started gravitating more towards no-gi. And after I finished my tour in New London, that's how I ended up in Baltimore in 2021.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember running into you the first time, because we have the 3 schools.
Yes.
So anytime I see what seems to be a new face to me, it's just like, oh, there's just a guy from Owens Mills or Elkridge or something, that, it's just, business as usual. And I remember one of the first times rolling with you. I mean, like, tried to ankle lock me, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, buddy. What's fine, but it was like, oh, okay, this is a different kind of cat. I gotta adjust to this one, because a lot of times I just kind of play around. I'm like, yeah, whatever, take the ankle lock. You ain't gonna get me. And I felt it getting tighter. I was like, okay, let me tap to this dude real quick, and then now I know I just got to keep my feet away from him, because like no one's safe. But yeah, I think I started kind of really coming back around, we're in 25 now.
Yes.
So I want to say like maybe 23, summer of 2023. Maybe I started coming back around more frequently to Severna Park, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where you and I first crossed paths. I was like, okay, cool. And yeah, again, I just assumed, just the Elkridge guy. I've been here for years, just probably never saw him before. And but then as I saw you more frequently, I was like, okay, there's the comfort. Like if I'm in a class and I see that you're there, like you're one of the guys, I'm like, okay, if I get the chance, I want to either pair up with him or at least like one of the early roles, because it's like you're safe, number one.
Yes.
But number two, like when we're drilling too, there's kind of a, like, I sometimes don't like get what's going on. It's like the move will be explained. I'm like, oh boy, okay, I think I get it. It's like I feel like when I'm working with you, at least like I can see when you're doing it. I'm like, okay, like I'm just gonna copy what John's doing. Like let me copy off your homework, buddy. And usually that never fails me. But yeah, so when you popped up here in Maryland, was 88 the first stop you made as far as finding a gym, or did you kind of fill out a few different gyms in your search?
I did try out one other gym. I can't really remember the name because of the it feels like it's been a hot minute. But Crazy 88 was the second gym I tried out, and it was given to me at the recommendation. And sorry, I'm gonna have to throw his name out there, Ed Costa. And no, Ed definitely had an interesting story about how it happened. So Ed was friends with one of the guys at my command at my unit. So but when he had put me in touch with Ed, I didn't really know what rank, like as far as, because Ed was active duty at the time, and I didn't know what rank he was. So I just kind of assumed Ed and me, like, maybe we're both enlisted. So what happened was Ed and I spoke on the phone and through text, and eventually he told me about Crazy 88, and that's how we ended up there. So I went to the Elkridge location, and through the Elkridge location, I liked it almost from day one. I liked the coaches, the training regimen, how the curriculum evolved. And also too, I like the wholesomeness that kind of feels like warm and welcoming, like almost like a family environment. But Ed, when him and I first saw each other in person, both him and I did not realize that. Well, I'm on the enlisted side, and he was an officer. So I guess to put it in perspective, like in jiu-jitsu terms, it would just be like at work he outranked me in a status like if he was a black belt, but at work my status was a blue belt, would be a blue belt. But when we got onto the mats, I was like, oh, I outrank you over here in jiu-jitsu.
Like the tables have turned.
But Ed's a great guy. I've enjoyed rolling with him. We're just like, well, I mean, I'm just like, sir, I mean, with your permission, I mean, I'm just gonna, I mean, I won't take it easy, but at the same time, I promise you, I'm not trying to send you home injured either. I mean, I want you to get the best out of me, but also I get the best out of you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, one of those things about jiu-jitsu in general. But especially over there at 88, you're going to get some tough rolls.
Yes.
But, we're all going to try to get the best out of each other and take care of each other too.
Yes.
So, you fit right in with that.
Yeah. And Crazy 88 definitely, it also had that wholesome feel that I had not seen since, like when I used to train at Carlos Gracie Miami, because for the longest time when I used to train there while I was living in Miami, it was definitely a place that was really hard for me to leave behind. And now with having to move with the military, like the difficulty I'm feeling about leaving Crazy 88 is the same difficulty I felt when I left the gym back in Miami.
Yeah. I imagine that, moving like that is tough too. It's like you kind of get settled in, set up some roots a little bit, and then it's go time. So yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, and I say that all to say that like Crazy 88 does hold a special place to me, and I've enjoyed training. I've enjoyed all the roll times I've got with you and everybody else. Just getting the better of me, but also too, feel like everybody's been, also good at taking care of each other.
I don't know if I ever got the better of you, my friend, but definitely, yeah. We all try to look out for each other. I think with good portion of folks there, especially that compete, there is kind of an emphasis, not just because you compete, but in general, because folks got to go back to work the next day, man. We can't just be out there cranking on arm bars, talking about, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, no, you won't. I'm going to urgent care right now, dude. Like, what are we doing? So yeah, that. But I like to think that most gyms, you're going to get those tough rolls, but still, we're taking care of each other, and making sure you can get to the next step the next day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I'm sure everybody has that kind of pressure, like you mentioned, to stay injury free. But I would say like one challenge with the military too is like, because a lot of it's physical demand. as far as like military roles to fulfill. So you have that extra incentive. Okay, like, yeah, I don't want to train to the point that I'm going to injure myself and put myself out of commission for a great length of time, or, God forbid, like, okay, the military is like, well, you have a serious injury and we would have to potentially discharge you for this.
Mm, yeah. As far as your training in the military and just your duties there, uh, how do do the two worlds kind of intersect with each other, jiu-jitsu and then your military base?
So, so with the military intersection that I can feel that comes with jujitsu, that's perfectly matched is military. You are incentivized to be in top physical shape, and the added benefits that I feel that like come with jujitsu is like, one, it does keep you in shape, and then two, I mean, however you approach it, whether it's for self defense or competition, it will make you very well equipped for unarmed combat, because there are certain qualifications I've seen in my line of work that do require unarmed combat skills, and I would say, to the credit that of everything I've learned through jiu-jitsu, did help me really surpass the expectations of some of those curriculums that were in place.
Good, good. Like I've had a few different guests on um, who had a military background and either cross over into jiu-jitsu or had jiu-jitsu first and then cross over into the military. But yeah, it's always that similar thing. You got to be in excellent shape for both,
Yep.
for either of them, and then also to just kind of, there's a discipline that
Yep.
comes with both as well, where I'm like, always say like, I don't, like I know when I was younger, I used to want to go into the military. I was like, I want to, I want to help. I want to do something. I can do this. And then as I got older, I was like, I don't think I'm disciplined enough for that. Like I will mess something up. But then, here I am years later doing jujitsu, and there's a discipline. I don't think as tight as the military, but there's still a discipline there. I think, again, bringing that from the military to the mats,
Yeah.
definitely has to be a big factor.
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably one of the harder things I found from my time at boot camp was as I walked in, I mean, just having jujitsu under my belt, I felt confident. But I would say like probably one of the harder things about boot camp is like maybe because if you have an idea of like, maybe if we're just having to like in jujitsu, if we're just doing like together as a group, like push-ups and all other routines of that sort, maybe on some given day. Well, it's like with military, like in boot camp, it's like, yeah, that's happening almost all the time. And you don't really have the luxury of stopping at any moment you want, because like in boot camp, your whole company is only as strong as your weakest link. And you don't want to be that weak link in the chain.
For sure. Sure. Yeah. I know on Saturdays when, we're doing our grip fight and then we switch, you got to keep your hands up.
Yep.
Every so often a blue belt gets caught and we got to do push-ups. Every time I'm doing push-ups, I start thinking like each time down, like, no, I'm not doing it. I can't do this. I'd be no good. In any situation where they're like, I could do push-ups. And, I've been doing, I'm on this little run right now where I'm doing 100 a day for funsies, but just thinking about it is like, oh, this is like, you got to do some push-ups like right now. And then like, you don't get to choose. Like when I'm doing my push-ups here at home, I'm like, whoa, 65, let's go ahead and take a break. We get back to this, do another 10, knock that out. But like, nah, when like, when it's the moment, it's the moment. You got to go ahead and knock those out.
Yep.
There's no breaking it.
Yep.
For you, when it comes to like training and everything, and I guess I didn't mention your rank. You're a purple belt currently.
Mm-hmm.
Like with you in traveling, or I don't want to say traveling, but like having to move from one spot to the other from time to time, and then rank and everything. How does that affect you in terms of like, skill acquisition, going from one spot to the other? With you being at 88, for, this time, and then, previously being at Carlos Gracie in Miami, kind of, I guess, stacking your skills is like, is it, for you, is it kind of a tough transition from one spot to the other, or is it just, what I know, and I'll just add what's going to come on next to what I already know? Or, is there like anxieties going into a new jump, just a new area, period?
Yes, no, I'm glad you asked that. Yes, there is typical anxieties with moving into a new area. Just feeling out the gym, feeling out their curriculum, the coaches, how, like, if I vibe with how they're operating things. But significantly too, a challenge that I have felt since joining the military is I did hold my purple belt before I joined, and since joining the military, I would say I do feel like my progress has gone slower, and it's tough at times because also too, jujitsu is just always so like evolving, like almost like every single day. Because I would say the skill set and the mindset that I was trained under when I got my purple belt is like now like behind. It feels a bit behind, like at least how the standards are for how most of the purple belts I see coming around. And but I try to my best to just learn off of it and to match up to that. But it is a challenge to say the least, because I do kind of feel like you're getting a little left behind at times. But I'm just like always just driven with a point that, like, one, I like this, and then two, like the end goal is black belt, no matter how long it takes. I mean, sure, it may take maybe a little bit longer, especially with sacrifices that may have to come with the military. But the end, I just do the best to take with wherever it is I go to and add into my game. And let's say the other challenging thing that sometimes they may come is just the lack of consistency of to be able to drill as much as I would like to, or just maybe not having access all the time to somebody I can drill with, because I do find a lot of valuableness in just having somebody you can drill with and just go over, like, the moves or whatever it is, like, that you may need to, maybe they can spot that you can use correction on and you can't really see yourself.
Yeah, that's when you go find a neighbor, like, hey, buddy, come here. Can you hold this ladder for me? Okay, yeah, cool, thanks. Oh yeah, by the way, now I have another move for you here. Just let me see your arm. What's this? It's called a wrist lock. I think that'd be kind of rude. Like, yeah, let's not start off wrist locking the neighbors. Just go for the Kimura and transition to the wrist lock. And with jiu-jitsu, has there been any point where it's kind of served as kind of like therapeutic, in terms of like, kind of moving around and just life in general, because, you know, the anxieties coming with that, and then just kind of the physical toll that you're going to have with your own job and, in itself, think about like camaraderie, things like that, and just problem solving. What are your thoughts on jiu-jitsu, I guess, as a form of therapy, like, for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, no, jiu-jitsu definitely has held its benefits for me in a therapeutic sense, because there are times that, yes, that like work maybe take more out of me than I can handle, and just probably want to go home and crash and maybe not want to come show up to class because of mental and physical fatigue. But I have seen the positive that comes out of coming at like going to jujitsu in the therapeutic sense, and just it makes the workload or just whatever else I may be dealing with a whole lot easier. And I can definitely highlight a moment in my life significantly where jujitsu did help a lot. Well, alongside with my faith and devotion to God. But one moment that was really a tough one for me was like in the late fall of 2023, where I my marriage had ended in divorce, unfortunately. Um, I guess like in terms of how the divorce was, it was you could probably say it was an easier divorce since I had no children and no alimony, and the ex-wife and I were on communicable terms, but it just grew apart. So but after the divorce, not long after that, kind of losing my I lost my last grandparent, living grandparent, and couldn't make it to her funeral. Then not too long after that, my dad had to uh, he had to go into a feeding tube. So it was a tough moment in my life, right around 2023, going into early 2024. But coming to the gym just to get distracted, just to, whether people were choking me out or I was like choking them out, it was just a very therapeutic thing to help me get through that, like, dark stage, because it was like, yeah, definitely isolation can really get to you in those moments, but just having that incentive to go onto the mats, train, be around people, tell maybe a little bit, but not like trying to pour my heart out with grievance, because I know at the end of the day, I have to face this is like my cross to bear, so I have to face it. But coming to the mats, just coming to forget about those troublesome moments, jujitsu definitely did help in a therapeutic way.
That's good. Good. Like this day and age, especially, it's good to have something like that. Just having a community.
Yes.
Period. I think a lot of folks, these days, and sometimes I'm included in that group of folks where we're like, that isolation, vibe sometimes gets a little, I don't want to say addictive or welcoming. Like sometimes it's just, you're going through some stuff and stuff weighs you down. It gets
Yep.
heavy. So being able to get, yourself to the gym and not for nothing, there are a lot of folks that, you know, they'll go through, a speed bump in life and turn to, the bar,
Yeah.
you know. So, a lot of us having, you know, the gym to go to and kind of get lost in the reps and getting, lost in, just kind of the movement of it all, you know, is a big help. So I'm glad that, you had that available to you during those tough times. I'm, sorry because sorry to hear that, dude. It sounds like, it was like one thing after the other. Just like, damn, dude, like let me breathe. Like just, let me catch my breath and then, you hit me with the next one. But I'm glad, you made it through it all and got to the gym and just power through. I don't want to say power through it, but you're able to survive through it without you know just losing your mind and falling into a deep depression because I, you know I don't know, man. I guess when we're there, we have to deal, but just
Yeah.
looking at it from the outside, I'm like, damn, dude, I couldn't even imagine. So I'm glad you were able to get through it.
Oh, thank you. No, and I mean, I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody who just, got on the mat, rolled with me, trained with me during those times, and just helped me to move on and to get to a better place now.
And I guess also too, when we're out there, it's like, you never know what anyone's going through. So,
Yeah.
we get out there, you know, we do our warm up, we tap hands and we go. And I think that's an important thing about treating each other with respect
Yes.
on the mats, not just as a teammate, but just as a person, because, this could be, you might have a high school student, they're just coming in, just trying to get some extra reps for wrestling. You might get, the grown up who's dealing with, financial woes or marital woes or, family matters. And, a lot of it, we don't see that. We see smiling faces come out there, you know, getting into the, action on the mats. And, we all treat each other as family. We're like, hey, man, good roll, talking afterward. And, at no point do most of us even know, what's going on? So, whether it's known or not, we're always there. I feel like this community is always there to
Yeah.
support and take care of. So good. As you're prepping to leave and set up camp somewhere else, has there been any kind of prospect or ideal of like, a new gym, like looking around, or just kind of taking one step at a time?
Um, yeah, there's potential ones on the lineup. It will just, but like as I go through the whole process, I'll have to like root in like certain things like time, distance, and price range too. Sometimes that's another thing they can factor in.
Oh yeah, that's been a topic of discussion a lot lately on the interwebs. It seems price, because I never really thought about price, but like, I mean, it's a factor, obviously, but I mean, I've been with 88 since day one. So I mean, Ivy League / Crazy 88. So it's always just like, I mean, this seems like the price, right? And then I hear other gyms, with these crazy fees. And I was like, huh, never knew that was a thing. Huh, okay. Lucky us, I guess. But yeah, that like, I guess with having done this before and moving again and going to find a new gym, I guess I want to say business continues, but also too, like we said, anxieties do exist. So
Yep.
but I think you're gonna be fine. I think you'll be all right. I mean, it's like you came here, fit right in. Like I said, I thought you was just one of the guys as usual. Like, he fits right here. Like, you're like, oh, like I mean, honestly, even like just talking to you the other day, it was like I said, I thought you've been training here, like, because I don't see everyone at Elkridge. So every time I see a new face at Elkridge, I just assume it's like, oh, he's probably been training since he was 12. All right, well, let's get it on, buddy. Like, go ahead and use your 20 years of experience on me and fold me up like a pretzel. But yeah, I would have never guessed. I just assumed, hey, this guy fits right in. So I'm sure it'll be more the same once you go to the new location. But hopefully in your travels you find your way back out this way just to stop in. You're like, what's going on, fellas? And even with that, I wouldn't be mad if you ankle lock me. I'll be fine with it. I was like, you know what, John? Bring that on. To be welcomed.
No, thank you, thank you. Yes, I would. Crazy 88. I'll always be happy to come drop by anytime I'm in town, and definitely Coast Guard has deep connections with the state of Maryland and Baltimore area. So I imagine I'll definitely be dropping by more often, and got a relationship going with a local lady, so she'll keep me coming by too do visits. And yeah, no, I mean, I really enjoyed every single moment, and I mean, also, I mean, I'm gonna say this too. Like every last role I've gotten with you, I do feel your game ever evolving, going up. So,
Well, thank you.
no, I'm gonna be on the lookout too when the the next time we ever roll on the mat, because like you're probably gonna go for ankle locking me next.
I only do ankle locks just to let people know or let them at least think that I know what I'm doing. But the second that I don't actually like secure it, which people find out very, very quickly. Oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm like, okay, I got to defend. Like, like, I got to get out of this. But thank you, for those kind words though. Like, I never know how my game's doing.
No, I mean for real, man, and also too, fake it till you make it.
Oh no, dude, I've made a career of that. Hey, I've got a podcast. I don't know if you know this. I got a podcast that's been going for 5 years, and I'm gonna be honest, been faking it pretty hard for 5 years. I turn on the mic and I just start talking. And they're like, I mean, I guess he's doing it right. I'm like, yeah, we are, aren't we? And I look over at Mark. And I'm like, hey, so are we doing this? So, but that's just the game of it. eventually you're gonna, figure it out. I guess the longer you fake it, eventually something falls in place, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. But in all sincerity, though, I do mean it. Your game has gotten better, and I look forward to all future roles that we'll have with each other.
Absolutely, same. Like I said, whenever I would see you, I'm like, okay, there's John. That like familiarity, a safe role, and I think there was 1 week, out like I might have been when I still had that knee injury a few months back. I think everyone that came through was just like, I was telling everybody, hey, I'm just here to flow. And you were actually the only one that like had a legitimate flow role with me. Everyone else was like, it started off as a flow for the first 15 to 20 seconds. And then it just turned into like punishment. I'm like, guys, like, hey, let's just take it slow. But to be fair, it's, we're talking about like the high schoolers,
Oh yeah.
um, like I think we got like maybe 3 or 4 high schoolers in that Saturday group, and a few other, 20 somethings, young 20 somethings. So it's like you tell them, hey, let's take our time, just move slow, and they're like, I don't know what those words mean. We're gonna go as fast as we can. Meanwhile, you got like folks like yourself, me, Mark. We're like, okay, look, we've been doing this for a while. Like, let's just take, let's take our time. So I always appreciate roles with you. I always appreciate, also, like I said, drilling with you, because like I copy off your homework. I see you doing. I'm like, John's doing it that way. I'm gonna do it this way too, because I mean, first off, he outranks me, number one, and number two, I mean, it looks right. So, eh, eh, it's got. And I will say this too. It's like, as said that you felt the evolution of my game. I mean, that comes from working with individuals like yourself. You know, working with the team, and just folks who are patient and take time with each other, because like I said, sometimes, especially on Saturday when Mahoney's explaining something, he does a great job explaining, but and even though I'm recording it,
Mm-hmm.
I might zone out because I'm like looking at the video. I'm like, okay, I know that I'm absorbing, and I don't. So, whenever I pair up with folks, I do appreciate everyone who's like, look, we'll pull you along too, buddy. So, but that's that team atmosphere. I love y'all, love all y'all for that.
No, absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure, and yeah, and I do think that's a valuable thing you do is recording the drills, because that's something too. That's something too. I wish I would do more for myself, but admittedly, it is effective though. I do find that to be a way to help retain the information, or just to like have something good to mirror off of, like as far as like when it comes to drilling.
Yeah, I use it to take notes. I used to write notes right after class, but I sweat so much that I drip all over the pages, and it's impossible to write. Even if I like towel myself off, it's just like it just starts pouring. It's like, oh my God, it's like a fucking tsunami. So I'm just like, oh man, not again. So now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to record the rounds. I come home, I drop them onto the computer, and then I just sit there and watch what Mahoney's showing us, take the notes off of that, and then I watch some of my rounds, which is very tough. It is very, very difficult for me watching that, because there are times where I'm just like, why would I do that? Like, or I'll see myself in side control. I'm like, why am I not moving? Like, am I tired? Like, did I go to sleep? Like, oh no. Yeah, I'm about to get choked. Like, that's an Ezekiel. What am I doing? So it's difficult watching those, but the technique videos that coach puts on definitely help with my note taking. And you know I know when Julius, and everyone was there on Saturday, I told Navarro when we record, I was like, I was terrified to record. I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a lapse in my notes for the week, because I'm not gonna remember what they just told us. But I was able to record after after class and get things sorted. I did want to ask you in terms of, military servicemen and women training, because I'm not sure, what the numbers are, what the percentages are of like anyone that's, you know, active duty, and able to find a gym to train. And if they are, what would be like some, I guess, advice to give someone in the service? What advice would you give them to try to, like, I guess, step onto the mats, or suggest them getting onto the mats, and how it can help them?
Um, yes. The best advice I could give to service members who are maybe, a bit shy or timid about stepping onto the mats is, you know, there's just no way to sugarcoat it. Yes, it is you're gonna feel like a fish out of water, but I would say the best thing to feed off of if you're coming from a branch of service is like part of the culture that comes with it is really pushing yourself beyond the limits and capabilities of what you believe you can do. And approaching jujitsu or martial arts is just another one of those things, is just really getting yourself out of the comfort zone. And I do feel like the benefits of it are numerous, especially just like as far as like confidence, because sometimes it's like, yeah, you maybe made it through boot camp, but at the same time, it's like, there's still, it's like you're not done, like, adding more into yourself. There's still more to be built up, especially as you progress. If you're a lifetime person in the military, or maybe you just want to do a few years and then just move on to another stage in life.
I mean, I think that's, applicable to, you know, someone like myself as well. If I weren't already training, so I think that's pretty good. Thank you for that. I don't know. I always think about, like, because I'm not ever sure who's listening to the podcast. So I'd like to think that sometimes, we might have someone that says, sometimes Dante talks about comic books. So maybe we'll tune in, and then they're like, oh, we're getting some jiu-jitsu lessons here. We're getting some pointers on, like, maybe stepping on the mats for the first time. So I have quite a few friends who don't train, and it's like, maybe even if they hear that, it's like, yeah, step out of your comfort zone, you know, push yourself beyond your limits, like, give it a try. You never know, you might like it. I think jiu-jitsu is one of those things that I think everyone should try at least once. You might like it, you might not. I didn't think I would like it, and here I am still doing it. So I think my wife, she won't try it. She's like, I don't see myself liking this at all. And I'm just like, what, really? Like, you haven't even met anyone. Like, I mean, she knows folks from the gym, but it's like, you haven't, like, met any of the gals at the gym. I mean, they're real nice. Some are a little intense. Maybe maybe my wife would be like, I don't want to roll with them. You see what she did to that one guy over there? Imagine what she'll do to me. But I do think a lot of folks could take that advice there that you just offered up and run with it. Hopefully.
Yeah, and I think like the best way to just look at it is like whether in the military or not, or from without the military, there's no growth from comfort.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I I try to remind myself of that just daily. As there are times, like, I'll come home from work and I'm just like, all right, well, I could sit down and watch YouTube for hours, or I could, exercise down here. I could get on the treadmill and run. And even with the treadmill, it's like you get that comfortable, like, oh, let's walk at 4 miles per hour. You keep doing that for weeks and weeks, and it's like, you know, eventually you're like, hey, why don't we crank that joint up to 5? Let's go up to 6. I tried it at 7. Bad idea. Let's stick with 6. But you're not going to know that 7's a bad idea until you try it. And I
Right.
did. And I tripped. So just 6 is the limit for now, probably for a while. But yeah, folks, if you're listening, get out there and test yourself. Quit being a punk.
Yep.
All right, John, before we get out of here, I want to do a quick rapid fire with you.
Okay.
Let's see how many I got here. 1, I like that. 2, I like that one. 3, 4. I think we got 5 here. Let's see if we can do these 5. It might be 4. We'll see how I feel. All right. First one, gi or no gi?
No gi.
Nice. I always go to gi class, but I honestly I like no gi so much more. Like I need to get to it more often. Just don't know what the hang up is. I've been missing my Fridays. Mount or back control, which would you prefer to have?
Mount.
All right. What's the toughest roll that you've had at 88?
Toughest. Oh man.
That's not a very rapid fiery question there. That's more of a I gotta think. Hold on.
Well, there's been a few, but I'm trying to think which one takes the icing on the cake. All right, I guess I'll give it for now. I'm gonna have to give it to Navarro. I'll give it to him.
I knew it.
Yeah, it's like Navarro, you got the size, you got the skill, good combination.
I was just thinking, I bet it's Navarro. Like he's the one. We're all going after him. I inadvertently on the last episode, I didn't challenge him, but I mentioned something about being prepared for wrist locks from him because the first time I rolled with him, he wrist locked me, and I told him I'm now prepared, and he goes, okay, I got you. And I was like, damn it, like now he's just going to be counting them up as he's doing it. You got a little tally on the side. Speaking of wrist locks and what have you, what's your favorite submission?
Triangle.
Nice. And this one, we're going to switch this one out and we're going to go with what's your favorite post-training meal?
Oh gosh. I'm gonna say probably bison burger meat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Like that just sent my brain all over. I was like, ooh, like I'm just a simple, like, come home and what's here in the fridge? Oh, there's chicken. All right, I'm gonna eat this. And now I gotta start telling my wife, like, hey, find that bison burger, cook them up and leave them in the fridge.
Yeah, no, I highly recommend it. If your stomach's ever feeling a little empty, bison burger will really fill that space up quick.
Nice. Well, good. And that is it for the rapid fires thing. I don't have a soundboard for when we record remotely. I wish I had like the audience applause for us here, but either way, I like it. I like all the answers. All right. So, John, thank you for doing this, man. Thank you for short notice, making the time. I do appreciate it. Anytime anyone shares their time, with us here on the podcast, I mean, you could be doing anything else with your hour. You chose to share with us. So we do appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Dante. I appreciate it.
No problem. Before we get out of here, you got any shout outs or mentions you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Shout out to all the great folks, including yourself at Crazy 88. Thank you for all the time. Thank you for all the time you've allowed me to come and train and represent you guys in competitions, and just overall great experience, great community. Love y'all. Always be happy to drop in if anytime you would welcome me. I thank you. Love y'all.
Well, thank you, John. We appreciate you, and hey, we're gonna miss you. And the door's always open at 88 for you. And like, hey, when you do make a stop back, for sure, Saturday, Severna Park, I'm going to be there.
Okay.
As soon as I see you, I'm like, oh, I need that. I want that first roll. Like, because that's, at least like we roll, I got energy. Like if you get me at like third, fourth, or fifth roll, it's like, John, I'm not at my best. You caught me at a bad moment.
I gotta get you at the best. That's all I want.
Well, hey, I got you, buddy. I got you. And as always, to you guys, the listeners, thank you. We appreciate y'all and we love you. If y'all got any questions, concerns, criticisms, anything like that, please feel free to reach out. You can always find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram and also Off the Mats Podcast as well on Instagram. I would love to give a big shout out here to my crew over there at Nerd Rage Radio. Bobby, Chris, Joe, Farrell, Marilyn Phil, Ricky Tiki, who else is over there? Chucky O. There's a whole lot. Like they're like the Wu-Tang. You know, they just keep adding members and everybody getting paid. If it wasn't for Nerd Rage Radio, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. So I always want to shout them out and thank them because I don't even know if it was even a thought to do a podcast until I sat down with them and started talking about nerd stuff and comics and Star Wars and then just having a good time. So thank you to those fellas over there. I also want to shout out my other podcast. So you like horror? If you're into scary movies, go check it out. We have been doing a theme of remakes versus originals, and recently we talked about The Wicker Man. We had Amy and Jen talk about the Nosferatu films, and we should have the Dawn of the Dead coming up soon. The original versus the Zack Snyder remake, which was his first film, which was wild. So go check that out if you like scary movies and stuff. So you like horror on Instagram with all the words separated by underscores. And yeah, you go find a podcast, you know, wherever you listen to this, it's there too. You know it is. Go leave a review for this and that because it helps us out in the algorithm. Like just please. And if you do, I'll give you a t-shirt. Somebody left me a review recently and I just saw it and I can't identify them. I want to get them a shirt. So if you leave a review, let me know. I got you on a t-shirt free of charge. I'll even cover shipping because I love y'all. And last but not least, I want to thank my guest today, friend and teammate, Mr. John Ramos. Thank you, John. We do appreciate you sharing your story, sharing your time and your wisdom with us.
Thank you, Dante. Appreciate everything.
Absolutely, my friend. And you all know what it is. We love you guys. Thank you. You guys keep listening, and we're going to definitely keep making these shows. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.